Welcome back to Finnegan's Farm, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and welcome back to our Christmas edition, Cook at Home. As you can see here, it's the last of the sprouts. We're nearly there. It's nearly Christmas time, so it's time to get the dinner on. We're going to head up to Pauric and my mother. I think Pauric might have the bacon on. First of all, we're going to get the ham ready, Pauric. What's any secret or tips and tricks for this one?
Well, Paul, for the ham, we're going to, and it's important to get that done in advance. What we're going to do is we're going to boil up our ham on with that. So I'm just going to open up my ham there. I'm going to leave the netting on it. I'm going to put that into a nice sized pot. We're going to fill it with a drop of water. Now what we're going to add into this in a wee moment as well, we're going to add into it a little bit of onion. We're going to add in a little bit of celery. We're going to add a little bit of carrot into it. And that just brings on that'll just bring on the flavour of the stock. Paul, if you can work your magic on that.
Turn it up full, obviously.
Full blast, Paul, there, just to get it up to the boil first, and that'll start to cook.
Okay, so the ham has been cooked to 64 degrees. Now, and I know the magic temperature that we were looking for is 74 degrees, but in the glazing process of this, it's going to bring it up to 74 degrees. So you can see there's a lovely moisture still coming out of our ham there. I'm going to cut that outside net off it. Cut that outside net off it, and then there's going to be a small layer of fat on the outside of that we're going to remove as well. Paul, there's always a little bit of trimmings here for you. You might, if you're a bit peckish at all.
I'd say Trixie now, she'll be delighted with them.
Trixie be delighted with those. Yeah. So you can see the little bit of fat that's on the outside there. So it's only a very, very small amount actually. It's not much, so I'm going to trim that off. But I'm going to go with a very traditional one here. Now I'm going to score my ham across the top here.
That's just to let
the flavours in there, Paul. Yeah, well noted. It's just to let the flavours in there. So through the glazing process, that's the cloves then. And here's a little job for you. You can put one in each square there, Paul, if you want it. That's okay.
None are used to it.
I stood them with cloves. Some people put orange juice on them. Some people put pineapples on them. But we're just going to go with a traditional honey glazed with the studded cloves. And very, very simply then, we're just going to get some light brown sugar, and we're going to sprinkle it over the top. Now, people say, now if that falls off, that's okay, because I'll explain to you now why. There's a little bit of honey going to be spread on top of that.
Pine Valley honey.
I'm going to put a little bit of the cooking liquid on the bottom of our tray, and that creates a sugar syrup through the cooking process. So then in goes the ham. Okay, so to start off our stuffing, Paul, then we're going to start off with a nice drop of rapeseed oil sitting. You can put that on there. I'll say when. And as I said before, the burn content, that's fine. Thanks very much. So the burn content or the burn temperature in rapeseed oil is much higher than normal vegetable oils. So a little bit of butter in there, and you might say that that's an awful lot of butter there. We have an awful lot of butter to be dealing with later on, so that's going to absorb into our breadcrumbs as well. That's the thyme in there, and you can hear that starting to crackle. So we have our lovely finely diced onions as well, and they're just going to release their flavours, their juices, and their sweetness now as well, which will make them really, really lovely. Good man, Paul. You're a natural at that. So the way you can spin that straight away. You don't even have to be asked. So we're going to leave that sit now. We're going to cook that down, and it's going to cook till they're quite soft and translucent. So you can nearly see through the onion then. We're going to add a little bit of the sage in there now as well. A little bit of the dried sage goes in there. Do you like sage, Paul?
I'm not a mad lover of it now. I know it's scarce. It's hard to get now, is it?
It's very, very hard to get, so it is this year. Yeah. For the onions have cooked up, then I'm going to ask you to pour those onions in on top of the breadcrumbs there, good man. And we're just going to add a few more breadcrumbs in on top of that. So we're going to add the rest of the packet of breadcrumbs in there again. Dunstores breadcrumbs again, really, really nice, good consistency. And then we're going to add the sausage meat. We'll add the sausage meat in on top of that. taking your time and mixing that through, Paul. It's important. So we're going to set that to one side, and we're going to take out our crown of turkey. So we got the crown of turkey from Hugh McGuire's, and the crown of turkey just means that it's 2 breasts. I'm going to stuff one of the breasts, and this is our fillet. This is our fillet off our turkey breast. Now I'm going to make an incision in just underneath that, so you can. Again, bearing in mind that you don't want to cut it past where that fillet line is there, because if you cut much further than that, you can end up cutting all the way through your. You can end up cutting all the way through your breast of turkey and coming out the far side. You don't want
just creating a pocket in there.
That's
really
correct. That's exactly it, Paul. So we're creating a pocket in there for our stuffing to go into. Okay, take a nice handful of stuffing in there. And push the stuffing in. Okay. And we're going to fold that over. And you don't want to overstuff the breast either. And that's our breast of turkey ready for tying up. And I am going to tie it up because it will, there's no doubt about it, because I've made an incision down the back of it there, and when that starts twisting and turning in the cooking process, that it could get thrown out of shape. Very, very simple knot we use. So it's just a double knot basically. Now your butcher would probably do this if you look after him well enough.
Yeah.
So we'll put the second knot in it there. That creates a slip knot, and we'll just pull that together, and then put a third knot in it there. If that was me, then to have that done on Christmas Day, or before Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas Eve, would be great to have your turkey prepped to that stage and prepped and ready to go. So into your fridge. Christmas morning, when I would get up Christmas morning, I'd seal that off really, really well and have it sitting there, have it sitting on your tray, seasoned and ready to go, and into your oven then and roast it. And it won't take more than an hour and 15-20 minutes to cook that. Okay. I wouldn't be having it in the oven. But again, that magic temperature of your probing it at 74 degrees, once it comes to 74 degrees, you're cooked. We're going to deal with this individual breast itself. And this is the way that I personally would do it myself. So I'm going to take the skin off that, and this is called an escallop. And an escallop is a thin slice of meat. So I'm going to cut it back from here. As I say, cut the escallop. Nice and gentle. Take your time with it. Let the knife do the work. So I'm going to take 4 scallops off this. You can see that there's going to be plenty of meat on this. So that's going to be 4 individual portions. I've got a small little steak bat here. And I'm just going to give that a couple of taps. And what's that doing? Yeah, that's doing. So it's tenderizing in a small bit, Paul. Good question. It's tenderizing in a small bit, but it's also giving it a consistency. Push that back into itself there again. So we've got a nice uniform shape to be working with. We take a nice, generous piece of our stuffing, shape that up to the size of the piece of turkey that we have, and then we're going to fold that across. Don't be afraid to manipulate it with the size of your hand as to the piece you'd like to end up with, okay? So that'll be one of the portions. Then we're going to open up our streaky rashers.
So about to get in on the act here and start.
You can see what you're left with then is a lovely consistent sized piece of meat. Then you picked up the idea of it straight away, as you've done all day. Fair play to you, good man.
It's like rolling a cover here, Pauric.
It's like rolling a cover. Good man. Brilliant. Now you get a couple of cocktail sticks now. You're a real natural. And it's important to make sure that they go all the way through, because if you don't catch it the far side, it can start unwrapping on the far side. And you seal them on a nice hot pan, season them then. They don't need that much additional seasoning, to be honest with you, because of the bacon in it. So maybe a little bit of black pepper on the top of them would be fine. But if you can have these, again, You have 10 coming for Christmas dinner. You have 5 coming for Christmas dinner.
Have these ready.
They're quite easy to serve. It leaves Christmas very, very manageable. It takes a lot of stress out of the Annie Finnegan, I'd be very interested to ask you a question now, if you don't mind, because I know you're on this earth a few years longer than I am. But I'd love to hear what Christmas was for you, and still is, thank God.
Yeah,
but the tradition of it going back a few years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the old times, it was always tradition to go to midnight mass, and we came home then, and we'd have a piece of pudding. All the children would gather
on Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve,
lovely.
Because that time Santa came late.
Yeah,
he wasn't an early Santa. And then I always did 2 turkeys, which would be a pilgrim turkey, we called it.
A pilgrim turkey?
Yes, and it had, on Christmas morning, it would go round to the different houses, and the grandchildren would all gather together, because there was no room left at my table with 18 grandchildren.
Oh my God.
So one year it would go to Paul's house, and the turkey would go to Joe's house, or, you know, there's 5 Finnegan houses on the road.
And everyone congregated in one house?
Everybody congregated in one house.
Very good, lovely, what a tradition.
So, yeah, that was it, you know, that was...
Bit of flour bread.
The soda bread, we forgot about the soda bread. We have, all of us have the soda bread with the turkey, with the cup of tea, like after
midnight mass.
After midnight mass.
Would there be a bit of lubrication added in there now? Or,
I'm afraid not.
No lubrication.
Well, I'll tell you, she's that much in the pudding, you wouldn't need it. You wouldn't need it. No.
But yeah. That's a lovely traditional story.
Yeah,
that's a lovely traditional story. Yeah. And what part of that is that still?
Oh, that's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing?
Yeah. I'm
Fabulous.
trying to get away from it, but there's no getting away.
No getting away from tradition, isn't it? Lovely.
It's great to get the kids and the grandkids and to get them all together, you know, because there's generations there, and it's probably, you know, it's probably just sitting down and having, we'd be full, we wouldn't need Christmas dinner, because we'd be full maybe before we go back to our own Christmas dinner, you know.
Because, so you had your own Christmas dinner at home then as well?
Yeah.
The Lord, so we'd
have 2 dinners in the one day.
Well, it's all about keeping the family together, and Christmas is the time
to do that,
for family. I think family are very important, most important part of our lives.
Well, you're an absolute credit.
Thank you.
An absolute credit. I'm delighted that you shared that story with us. It's really lovely to hear that now. Yeah. We've got the ham basted. We've got the turkey portions done. The next thing we're going to focus on is our Finnegan's Farm vegetables.
Yes.
Which have been prepared for us already.
Yeah, well, at least that bit is done anyway.
That bit is done. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah. I've done that little bit anyway.
So we have the cream potato, we have the mashed carrot and parsnip. We've got the creamy mash again, because that's going to be very, very popular. We've got the roast potatoes, and then of course we have the traditional sprouts. So we're going to get those into the oven now. So we're about. It's going to take about 15 minutes for the turkey to cook.
So cooking time on these is in around the 20.
They're in about 20-25 minutes. There are the choice is there, but what we're using today is perfect. So they'll be all ready within 20 minutes or half an hour now, and we'll be ready to move on then to the next stage of our turkey then. So that's the veg potatoes in, Paul. We're going to seal off our turkeys now, our individual portions of turkey now. So we are. So a nice drop of rapeseed oil in a good hot pan. You'll see it. It's a good hot pan there. It'll start. That's fine. Lovely. Good man. And we just swivel that around. You can see the way the oil separates there. That it's getting nice and hot. So it is. But you want it good and hot to seal that. Seal all your flavours in there. So we're going to come along now with our two pork. And a little bit of black pepper on those. And again,
go ahead.
That's exactly it. We're sealing those, and you know the story about sealing it?
Yeah.
We're just going to let those seal the flavours in. We let it sit for a minute. We turn it over, and that will seal all those lovely juices. So again, we just give that a little bait. So 15 minutes should have those cooked really well then. Okay. Now, Paul, so we're ready for the big crescendo then.
Can we go for this with Pauric?
The ham is out. Nicely glazed.
Yep.
Nice bit of moisture still coming out of it. The turkey's cooked, 75 degrees. I'm just going to remove the cocktail sticks there now. It's always good, as I mentioned last week as well, is let the meats rest before we carve them. It's very important that happens. is you chose that you'd like to pipe your cream
Well,
potato on there.
I never done it before, so
Yeah.
this is my first time, just in case they think that I've done it before. I haven't, but it's always nice to see a little bit of decoration. Now, I know when we deposit them down in the factory, it comes with this effect here. It's like a ridge and furrow effect, they call it.
Yeah.
And it looks quite nice too.
It's very decorative, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, people buy things with their eyes, and once it looks good,
That's exactly
the
it.
genuine will buy
I'll
it.
carve first there, so this will cut through nicely. You can see the succulence coming out there, so the moisture that's still in the turkey is really, really nice. So I'm going to arrange that nicely on the plate now, if that's all right. We'll just move those across here. Now,
So,
would you like to pipe your potato on that?
so it's just kind of keep it firm.
Yeah. He tells me he's never done this before, but I don't know. I'm just...
So we'll do 1, 2.
I'd say one will be enough for now, and if you think we need another one then after that, because the plate's going to be fairly full by the time we put the food out, okay? So you can hear the lovely crust coming off that. Really, really nice. So it's just 74. You see the moisture? It hasn't dried, it hasn't flaked, hasn't started breaking up on us. I think you came out with something earlier on there, Paul, that when you be lifting it out of the pot, it could be...
Could fall at something.
Could fall. I think is that the word you used?
Yeah.
Something like that. But you can see the moisture. It's
just falling off the knife then.
But not falling apart. Not falling apart on it. So we're just going to come along here with a nice piece. The main event, as we call it, Paul, which is the...
Yeah, we want to keep it tidy on the plate.
The basil and vegetables there. So we're just going to go along. You have the cream potato on there. We're going to spoon a couple of sprouts on there.
Most people will boil their sprouts. We have oven cooked them.
Yeah.
What's preference?
I personally myself, I like blanching them off, and I like blanching them off, which is throwing them into a pot of boiling water first, just for them to hold their colour, keeps the colour on it, and then stir frying them off then after that, or sautéing them off then after that, which is really, really nice.
A lot of people are starting to do them in the pan there now. It seems to be.
It keeps all the goodness in them.
Yeah, it does.
Keeps all the goodness in them, and that's the beauty, because the sprouts they're really, really good for us. So we're going with a little quenelle, or just a little shape, just to make it a little bit special on our Christmas dinner. And the beautiful, look at the way the roast potatoes have cooked up. And they're done in a little bit of the garlic butter as well, which is so special. It's beautiful. So it's really, really, really tasty. Adds to the flavour of them. Now, so we have our lovely turkey and ham, the stuff in there. We've got our baked ham. Maybe a little bit more cream potato in that pot, I think might be generous enough, wouldn't it? I think that might be quite nice. And last but not least, then we have our Simply Better gravy with the juices of the turkey and ham then on there after that. What would you think?
Fit for a king, Pauric.
Fit for a king.
Fit for a king.
Fit for a king. Good man yourself. There's only one king I can see in the house here, Paul.
That's me.
That's you. Well, Paul, there's only one thing to do.
Yeah, get stuck in here, and I'm going to try that bacon because I've been looking at it there, and I have to say, I don't know.
How's that fair?
Oh my God, that is just heaven. I have to say, that is gorgeous.
And a little bit of turkey in the stuffing.
Oh, I'm speechless here, Pauric.
Well, that was the easy part out of the way now. What about the potatoes and the vegetables then? That'd be the interesting part we'll be looking for now.
Well, the roast potatoes are a great product, I have to say.
Yeah, they're going to be consistent.
Yeah, and they've a lovely crisp on them there as well.
They've crunched up really, really nice, so they have actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very good.
So there, top marks. We know this one.
We had that, yeah.
We had that one already, and it is gorgeous. The sprouts, which I'm not a favourite, there's no point in saying I'm not.
But they are now the sprouts. I've had the sprouts, and they're absolutely beautiful. So they
When you have the little pancetta, well, yeah, it does make the difference there. That's as good as you're going to get on any Christmas day, let me tell you.
Well, I'm delighted that going well for you.
And the stuffing is gorgeous too.
Simple but traditional, that's what that is, Paul. That's simple but traditional. And I'll never change my stuffing recipe. That's the way it'll
As we would say, Pauric, that is fit for a king.
Fit for a king, good man.
That's absolutely gorgeous. Well done.
In the Royal County.
In the Royal County, in the County of Meath.
Good man yourself.
So from myself, Pauric, Nanny and all the team at Finnegan's Farm, we'd like to wish you all a very happy Christmas and a peaceful New Year. And yeah, we will talk to you next year. Good luck.